that doesn't determine whether I DNF it or
No,
not.
not always. Yeah, just being pressured into it makes me not want to.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Romantasy?
Yep.
Is that's another
Romance
term?
fantasy.
I got that.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
You mentioned that you have no problem DNFing a movie or a TV show,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you don't DNF books.
I do believe in karma, but sometimes it takes generations. Oh, should this be a spoiler alert? Sometimes you read them and you think, oh yeah, there's a sequel coming.
I could tell you more about the book off camera. So
Okay.
she actually was on an episode of Cupcake Wars. I found this out and then went and watched the episode. Anyway,
I knew somebody.
Oh, did you?
I married the next guy after him.
Oh, wow. Did it work out?
I'm still married to him.
Oh, okay.
You
I got
right.
it. I know.
5 points.
I haven't read any of his books.
I will look at the bestseller.
But will you buy it because it's a bestseller?
No.
Oh, look, it says cover art by so-and-so. So
Here's what you do about that. You take this cover off and you look how pretty that is.
hopefully that match. Actually, that's not printed very well anyway.
The book is always better.
Welcome back to Espresso Shots and Epic Plots, where the TBR piles are high and opinions are even higher. Or, if you're new here, I'm Genevieve.
And I'm her mother, Diana. And today we're entering a bookish battleground, but with bookmarks, not with boxing gloves.
So in today's episode, we're going to discuss 3 potentially controversial topics related to books. We're going to do it respectfully, maybe dramatically, and we'd love to hear your opinions too.
So grab your favorite beverage and join us to talk about books.
So if you've seen our previous video where I quizzed my mom on bookish knowledge, one of the terms that we talked about was DNFing. Do you remember what DNFing is?
It is did not finish.
Yeah, did not finish. So it's when you're starting a book and you just didn't finish it. So we talked a little bit about DNFing. If you haven't seen it, I'll make sure to link that video in the comments so you can go check it out. That was gonna be our first topic today, was this idea of DNFing books and when is it okay or is it okay?
I'm thinking about it. There's been a lot of different reasons. I think sometimes it has nothing to do with the book. It's just a time frame, and I've checked the book out of the library and it's due back, so I just don't get around to finishing it. There was one that I read a long time ago called Ride the Wind by Lucia St. Clair Robson. It is actually a historic fiction, really based on a lot of truth about the mother of the last free-range Comanche. Comanche tribe, I believe, was one of the last tribes to surrender to the United States. I got to like the last 6 pages and it was so sad and heart-wrenching to me that I gave the book to my dad to read and told him to tell me the ending. I could not DNF it. I think I have since then picked it back up and finished the whole book. That was probably one of my first DNF experiences that really stuck in my head because I could not, it was so heartbreaking.
Okay, so it was because it was so emotional, you couldn't physically bring yourself. Okay, so you mentioned the library, and I know you use Libby a lot now, and so you can't really control, like when it returns, it returns.
Yeah.
But what makes you not check it out again?
It could be mood, where I'm just not in the mood and then it gets forgotten. But that is the nice thing about Libby, is it keeps a record of everything. So if I'm desperate, I can go back and pull one up that I just didn't finish for whatever reason. But there have been a couple that I just flat out didn't get into the book. One of them recently was The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese. I started it. It is based in India, and there's a family member always that drowns to death.
Oh, okay.
The reasoning that I didn't finish it, I believe, is that it was very early on in the book that I didn't finish it. There was a lot about the Indian culture that I was getting lost in.
Okay.
There was a very young girl who was being sent off to marry a very old man. Not really very old, but it was one of those arranged marriages.
Okay.
I mean, he was a decent man, if I remember right. I just felt like I was lost and I couldn't feel what was going
Connected,
on. Yeah, I
maybe.
couldn't feel connected.
Okay. So mood, like if you're in the mood for it, confusing, or maybe not confusing, but not clear enough to make you feel connected. 'Cause
Yes,
I know that
yes.
you've read books in other countries and
Oh,
cultures
I know.
that you feel
I mean,
connected to. So it must have been something about
something
that writing
about that
style.
book that just didn't. I put it down and never picked it back up.
Yeah. I used to be a terrible DNFer. I vividly remember reading The Shopaholic, which is a series of books. I only ever read the first one. I couldn't even tell you what it's about at this point, but I read the whole book and I remember every chapter going, this has got to get better. This has got to get better. And I was like waiting to get to the end of the book and think like, oh, that's what it's all. No, it never did. And it's a series that people love. I never made it past the first one because
it's funny when you meet somebody that's loved one of these books
yeah,
and you feel like,
right, what did I miss?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the last book I DNF'd was not because of like mood or writing or anything. It was a manga, which are you familiar with what manga is? So it's, you know what a graphic novel is?
Yes.
It's the Japanese graphic novels and you read them from back to front.
oh, interesting.
Anyway, whatever.
Okay.
So my daughter's really into graphic novels because she's
That age.
almost, yeah, she's 9 going on 10. So I try to find her really good ones to get into while also reading some other books here and there. And I had heard about one called The Night of the Living Cat by Hawkman. And the general plot is that if you cuddle a cat, if it has this disease or whatever, I don't even know, you turn into a cat.
Oh.
And so I was like, that just sounds really funny. And I wanted to try it. So I got it from the library. And, you know, I didn't like buy it or anything. And it wasn't that it wasn't funny or cute or anything. It's just that with graphic novels, it's mostly through pictures.
Yeah.
And that's just not how I want to consume my media. I would much rather have my own vision of things and, you know, really get immersed in my head instead of just, you know, I kind of felt like I was flipping through a magazine. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? So I'm sure it's cute and I'm
Fine
sure,
line there.
yeah, I'm sure if you are into graphic novels, it's a fun one to read. I have since learned that manga and graphic novels are not my thing,
Not your genre.
which is fine.
Okay, gotcha.
Have you ever saved yourself from DNFing because you switched from book to audio? I've definitely had some books where I was really struggling with the physical book, and when I started listening to it on audio, or even both at the same time, it really helped me get over like a hump or something. Has that ever happened to you?
I mean, the Familiaris, which I keep bringing up, was one book that I started in audio, didn't pay a whole lot of attention. I was just perusing through, and it was an Oprah Winfrey Book Club book. And I usually really liked her books. So I picked it up, not paying any attention. And I'm going along. And I kind of, you know, not having a physical book when you're listening, that's one thing. You don't really know where in the book you are. I did not realize this was a 25-hour listen.
Yeah.
And I got that feeling like, well, we must be wrapping up. And there was another 10 and a half hours or something to go. And I was like, oh my God. It followed these people from the time they were 20-somethings all the way till their whole life and their children. And I did set it down. I got angry because the way it's written, it's like every new chapter, you started to feel like you missed some pages. Like there's a whole other story going on. It happened to me so often. I was thinking, oh, the audio continued when I wasn't paying attention, and I'd go back and it'd be like, oh no, I was listening. Why are we here now? And it kind of made me angry, and I stopped. But at some point, I found that I kept referencing the book. To when I was talking to other people, and there's a whole bit about dogs and training dogs and breeding them to be very intelligent, and I kept bringing up, because we're both dog lovers as well as book lovers, I think that might have been why I decided, well, I might as well pick it up and finish it and find out if what I'm referencing is in fact part of the book. And I did finish it, and I'm glad I finished it. It was a well-written book. I think it just bounced around a little bit too much for me to understand why.
Okay.
But I did in the end. I understood why.
Okay. So putting it down kind of helped you, and then realizing that you were thinking about it and talking about it. Yeah. So I get books as gifts a lot. My husband, he tries to do his research, and he bought me some books. This was years ago. He bought me 3 books that he did research on, and they were, on the top of the lists, and he bought them for me. And I think I read one of the 3 and the others I just never picked up. And I think I've since sold at least one of them, if not 2 of them. But it doesn't really count as a DNF because I never picked it up.
Sometimes being pressured is, I take advice from you and my mom and my sister and my dad, but sometimes being pressured to read a book is enough to make me just stay away from it.
Do you get to a certain point in the book and that before you decide, are you like, oh, I'm definitely going to listen to an hour or a certain percentage or something?
Usually, I think it's probably pretty early on when I decide not to DNF, because I think I get to the point where, well, I've already invested this much time into it. I might as well just wrap it up. It's usually in the beginning. The storyline hasn't pulled me in. I can't relate with any of the characters, or I just don't like the characters.
I'd like to think that I try to get a certain percentage of the way in. I really give it a try. It's not like the first chapter or anything like that. For me, I find myself, if I'm not interested, if I'm not thinking about it, I read every day for at least a little bit. And if it is not enticing me to pick it up, I'm probably going to DNF it. To me, then it's not worth it. Okay, so this happened to me, I think it was in February. So I was reading the book Phantasma. I'll put the book up so you can see who the author is. I want to say it's Kylie something, but I can't remember. Anyway, so I was reading the book Phantasma, which was, really hyped in the fantasy genre, whatever, and it sounded really interesting. It takes place in New Orleans. It has this gothic vibe. It's about a girl. She's just had to take over their family job. Things happen and she needs to come up with a lot of money. And so she enters into this contest. It's this dark gothic, you have to survive in this house contest. So that's where it's almost like a horror romantasy kind of book. So she enters into this contest to try to get money. If I remember right, she thinks her sister has entered it. That's what it is. Her sister has entered it and she has to go in to save her sister. Her sister's name is Genevieve, by the way. Anyway, so I was really right, exactly. So I was really into it. But this book, I finished it. I didn't DNF it.
Okay.
I didn't rate it very highly, but I also was reading it when I was sick. I had the flu and it was a slog to get through. And so I don't know if that was because I wasn't in the right mood or I had the flu, or if it really is just not my cup of tea. I'm not going to read it again. And I didn't buy the second one. So that, it's one that it's not like I wished I would have DNF'd it, but I think I got enough out of it to know to not continue. But I do wonder if some of that was because I was sick and I just wasn't in the right mood or something.
Tough job these authors have.
I know.
Making their audience happy.
Yeah. Are there any authors that I guess kind of the opposite of an auto buy where you're like, nope, I'm not. I've tried enough. I'm not reading anymore.
I've done with Dean Koontz. I read a lot of his. Okay. Loved him. Great author, but real prolific. And I feel like he had a pattern.
Okay,
and
formula.
After reading, formula. And after reading 10 or 15 of his books, it was just like, oh, yeah, this was just like the other 9 books before where this happens.
If any of you think my mom should push through and maybe try a new Dean Koontz book, leave it in the comments. Okay. Maybe we'll see if you can try again.
Yeah.
We're going to try to finish some of these sentences. I will always DNF a book if... And it's funny because my brain went a similar place where your brain went, where it's like if a woman is getting unnecessarily abused or punished, or I get really angry with a lot of misogyny. But then I started thinking there's a lot of books where that was an integral part of the plot. I've been talking a lot about Blood Over Brighthaven, and obviously that didn't make me DNF it. So there has to be a reason behind it.
It's when it's written from a male perspective and the woman's actions apparently to them make absolutely no sense whatsoever, or response to an abuse, or the behavior is just so off, so wrong.
Okay,
Then I'll get pretty angry about that.
And then and DNF. No, that's a good way of putting it. I like that.
What happens that makes it so that you can't DNF a book?
A lot of times, as I said, I want to know why everybody likes it. I want to know what the big deal is. So
if it rates highly and it's in your genre and everything.
Yeah. If it's one that everybody's talking about. I just finished Shield of Sparrows by Daphne, which everybody is just loving. I probably could have DNF'd it. It was just not for me.
It's the one
but
I got you for your
birthday.
birthday.
It's really pretty. It is. I really wanted to read it, but I don't think it was a case of like overhype or anything. But just the whole time I was like, I don't get it, and I wanted to get it. I kept seeing all these videos about like you might figure out some of the twists, but not the final twist, and so I had to know what the final twist was.
So you read it all the way through.
I made it all the way to the end.
Unhappy about it.
It's not that I was unhappy. There's going to be a second one. I don't know if I'll read the second one or not. So we'll see.
I had one. It was Jean Auel's Earth's Children series.
Okay.
Absolutely loved all of them up to the last one. It took her some 6 years or so to get this book out. I felt like she was just trying to fill pages. Absolutely hated the book, but had to finish it.
What number was it?
It was number 6, Land of the Painted Caves by Jean Auel. I would recommend every one of those books. The 6th book was supposed to wrap everything up. I suppose it kind of did, but there was some sort of a prayer psalm that the main character, Isla, would say that in written form took up like a page and a half, and it shows up in this book probably 30 times.
Oh my gosh.
Completely written out each time. To that point, I started skipping pages because I was so sick of hearing this thing over and over.
But you did finish it. Because
I did have to finish it. Maybe that's why I don't like reading series books, because
you feel committed. Was that the last book? Were there any more books after that?
You know, I don't know. I believe it was supposed to be her last book for that series.
Okay.
I have never looked for more books by her.
So you recommended it. If you just read the first 5, can you be happy after the first 5?
Yeah, because it's a whole progression. Starts at Cro-Magnon, that far back history. Premises Cro-Magnon and Homo sapien are on the planet together, and in fact are capable of intermingling and creating offspring.
Which is what we did.
Okay, thank you.
That's what they have since discovered.
Great series. Learned a lot, loved it a lot up until that last one. And this has been, probably 20 years since I read it.
I remember you getting mad at that, but like when I was young, I remember you being excited about it and then getting mad at it. So for whatever that's worth. So.
Okay, our next topic is the topic about the importance of the ending, be it happy or satisfying. Have you ever read a book where it was like life, not everything's wrapped up in a tidy bow?
I would say The Wedding People, which I talked about in our first video. I didn't like it because of the marketing, but the ending was satisfying, I thought, and it was satisfying because it was realistic. It didn't have, this is a spoiler warning. If you feel like this might be a spoiler, I'm not going to go into specifics. It doesn't have your typical romance happy ending where the guy gets the girl and they end up together. But in the instance of that book, that's exactly what I wanted. If the couple had gotten together, I would have been annoyed because it didn't make sense in that scenario. Yeah. I think the ending is what saved the book for me, honestly. The ending is the reason I didn't throw the book across the room. That's not a happy ending. It wasn't marketed as a romance book. I do feel like romance books should have a happy ending. Like if I'm getting an Emily Henry or Allie Hazelwood or a Beth O'Leary, I am going to escape and I want them to get together. It can take a long time. And I've definitely read my fair share of romance where it's really dumb and I would have kicked the guy to the curb and he does a lot of dumb stuff and those are angering. And in that case, it's because they shouldn't be together because he's a jerk. But that's what I'm going there for. So I want those to have a happy ending.
Why would you even be reading this?
In a thriller, because I know you've read like a lot of thriller mysteries, is it satisfying if nobody gets their comeuppance?
No, I know that's more real life. It's the whole point of reading a book of fiction is that you want to escape. Why would you want to become more agitated by what's going on in the book? That's not the point of reading the book. One of the books, like the you were talking about, we both read The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. We finished it. This was not a DNF. There were a lot of dangling concepts in there that didn't get touched on. It did not have a nice, neat, wrapped up ending. There was a lot that I really disagreed with.
Yeah.
The concept that they were only just married.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this family that is created is just going to go along with it.
Right. Yeah. Their lives were permanently altered forever, and everybody seemed
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll just go with it.
We'll go
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
The ending, I couldn't believe that this would be how people would react.
Yeah. As soon as I finished that book, I called her and basically said, I can't believe you did it. I said, I really didn't like this book. I need
That's
you.
right.
I need you to read it so I can figure out why we didn't like it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it didn't have a happy, everything gets solved at the end. Is that why we didn't like it? Or did we not like it because it didn't make sense? Because I don't always need everything to be happy. I've definitely read books where the ending like shook me.
Yeah.
And I was okay with it.
But the story has concluded
Yeah.
to some satisfactory. By the way, if you caught it on Apple TV, the
that's
series,
what it was on,
you read the book because it was almost word for word.
I think we looked it up. It was
the script.
It was 9 episodes, and the book is a 9-hour audio.
They should have changed it.
So, speaking of changing an ending, I want to talk about a book. It was a novella that I read this year, really popular in the book community. It's called I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. It's translated. It's she's French, so
okay.
And I know she wrote it a while ago, and it got translated. There's been different translations. I think it got translated recently. Very poetic, thought-provoking. So the general premise is the narrator. It's an unnamed narrator. She's in an underground bunker. I believe she's with 40 other women that were all captured. And she was young when she was captured. She was a baby, I think. But it takes place from about her teenage years until the end of her life. You don't know why they're there. There's people that are monitoring them. It's just about the differences between her and the other women, because all the other women were around before. So they know what life was before. And the narrator gets frustrated because they don't talk to her about the before. She actually becomes like the impetus and motivation to allow them to escape. This is not a spoiler. It's a novella, so it's short, but that is I believe that's part of the blurb on the back. The ending of that, I don't think you're supposed to like it. It's supposed to leave you feeling uncomfortable because by the end of the book, you have no idea why any of this happened.
So you were unhappy with this ending. It was unsatisfying.
It leaves you feeling uncomfortable, but I think that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think the point of the book is to be like thought-provoking and to talk about women's interactions with each other. And
did you like this book?
I don't know. I mean, it didn't get 5 stars from me. It definitely made me think. It's something to talk about, which I think is a sign of a good book.
Yeah.
But I'm the type of person that I want to know the why, and so the ending doesn't necessarily need to be happy, but I need to know things. I don't want to be left in the dark.
You know, I honestly feel like if I die and I don't have answers, I'm going to be pissed. All right, so what about the reverse where the book ends and it's just too tidy and wrapped up? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that can bother me too. There's a romance author who everybody loves, and I'm not hating on her, Abby Jimenez, does a lot of romance books. I would say the genre theme of her that is throughout all of her romance books is an aspect of like mental health issues is a running theme in a lot of her books, or she doesn't shy away from tragic things.
Okay.
So for example, she just wrote like a really quick short story that was only on audio that was about a woman that was being stalked. So she doesn't shy away from that stuff, or somebody that has a terminal illness that is falling in love. And she normally does it very well, and I really like it. I did read one by her called Yours Truly. The general premise is it's a traveling nurse. She has this running problem where everybody that she dates marries the next person that they date. Kind of like there's been movies like that. In the book, she talks about this online on Reddit, and some guy basically says he's the male version of that. And so they end up getting together, which is like, that's the romance part of it. But the mental health or psychological aspect of it was a very dysfunctional mother, and her mother shows up. Spoiler, I will mark the spoilers here. So Abby Jimenez did a good job of, the couple didn't immediately get together after all the mom drama calmed down. She ends up finding out all these tragic things about her family, like her mother had run away and she had siblings and grandparents she never even knew she had. And like basically her mother had been lying to her whole life. And so Abby Jimenez did a good job of, they didn't just immediately get together. They did have time apart, and she did seek, mental health supports. In a romance book, you can't say 10 years later, once they had handled all of this emotional baggage, they got together. I think, in my opinion, it was a little bit too much of like a tidy bow in the time span that you had to fit into a book. I understand why she did it. She still did it as well as I think you could. I almost feel like she should have written that book as like a lit fic book, like a female contemporary lit fic book, instead of as a romance book. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one that I think was a little too tidy.
Okay, so what about a book that was really amazing as you were reading it, and then you got to the end and it was just like, ugh.
Yeah, that's definitely happened. Not so much with one individual book, but a series, which is even worse.
Yes.
Because then you've been hooked in.
As we've established.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the Divine Rivals series, or it's actually called the Letters of Enchantment series. So the first one is the Divine Rivals. I gave this 5 stars. It's YA. I really liked it. It's actually written almost like historical fiction.
For those who don't know what YA means.
What is it?
Young adult.
Oh, you bonus points. Okay, anyway. And then the second book is called Ruthless Vows. And I was disappointed by the ending. It wasn't that it was bad. There's your happily ever after-ish. There was still some trauma, so it was some tragedy. The whole book is taking place during a war. It feels very World War vibe, but it's in a fantasy world, and it's a war of gods is what it is.
Okay.
But the ending was just kind of like, and to the point where I would give the series as a whole like 3.5 to 4 stars because the second book just kind of like,
Actually, I was thinking of 2 of the endings that could have been better, and actually both of them were turned into movies, and both of the movies, I thought the ending was better.
Oh, nice.
The Road.
The book was not better in this case.
The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which is a horribly depressing book, but I sometimes like to read those. It's just you
need a good cry.
Yeah, you don't know what happened, but it is a post-apocalyptic
There you go, you got it.
type of book. It's well written, it's sad, it's heart-wrenching. I held on to the book the entire time. It has some scientific flaws that bothered me, but I tried to let that go. However, at the end, it's just as bleak as it was at the beginning. Whereas in the movie, they show life prevailing at the end. And that makes you feel better. The other one that got me was the book Message in a Bottle. By Nicholas Sparks. However, the ending I remember in the book, I don't remember the ending in the book.
Well, the movie was obviously better.
The movie, I liked the ending in the movie much better. It was a little bit tidier. It gave you a little more hope, answered some questions. I mean, normally the book was better. Those are the 2, in my opinion, where the movie sort of opened it up to audience satisfaction.
Okay. In my head, I always tell myself, well, the author must have been part of the script, and this was their opportunity to rewrite. That's the way I like to think of it.
And the final topic that we're going to talk about is judging a book by its cover.
Something we all do.
Yeah. So you
oh, for sure.
Definitely judged a book by its cover.
I have bought books specifically because of their cover, or sought out certain covers of books and like avoided other covers.
I've never given it much thought about the artwork on the cover.
Do you think it's because because you've even done physical books. Even when you read physical books, you never thought twice about it. Was it price? price was that? Like size? Did you ever care about that? Hardcover versus paperback?
No. I always would read the summary.
Okay.
Recommendations.
Okay.
In fact, most of the time I took the cover off altogether because they always got mangled.
Yeah.
And
I know you don't really like rate or use Goodreads or anything, so you don't judge them by ratings or anything like that.
No.
I am very judgy.
There's one difference we are having there.
I don't think I've ever just like looked at a book and said, I'm going to buy that purely because of the cover. I have heard recommendations about books and then picked them up because of their cover. This book, Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, this is a redesign. There's other covers of this. This is the most recent one. So this is it, exactly. That's why I bought it. It has gold foiling on it. This was a movie. Did you see the movie Annihilation?
No.
Anyway, this is about Area X. They send these 4 unnamed female scientists into Area X where all this weird stuff is happening. It's like a horror book. They have to go and investigate Area X. I don't think any of the characters have names in the book. I think they gave them names in the movie. Ooh. It's just about weird stuff that's happening in this area, which never really sounded like, it just sounded weird to me. I saw the movie mostly because of my husband, but then I've heard a lot of people talking about him in this book and I was like, oh, this is, it's a short book. And then I saw this cover because they just redid the covers and I was like,
on it.
Yep, pretty much. And they redid all the covers so that they like match this style. So this is one that I bought because of the cover. This is another series. What's this look like?
Anatomy looks like it's not a heart.
It's not. It's her dress.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yeah. So this one, again, I had heard about it, but when I saw the cover and then I heard what it was about too, then I got it. The second one in this, it's a similar cover except it's a brain. So it's her dress
now
looking like a brain.
That artist, whoever created that cover, needs to get some kudos.
Yeah.
Are there artists that are sought after book cover artists?
Probably. I know.
We should look into this.
Well, I do know that, so I have, as I mentioned in a previous video, I do Owl Crate, and there's Fairy Loot, there's Broken Binding, and so these are where they redesign covers and end pages and edges and stuff like that, and they will pick specific artists, and I know that buyers, they'll say like, oh, I'm gonna buy that book because this was the artist.
By this artist.
So I know that is becoming more common, but those are special editions.
Yeah, I can picture some of the artwork on the front of books. What was that guy's name? He was he became a famous model on the front of the romance.
Not Fabio. Is it Fabio?
Yeah,
he was on, okay.
So I can actually name somebody, but I can't name a single famous book artist.
Yeah. So this is Where the Dark Stands Still. I sought out this specific cover. It's not a special print. I think this is the UK edition. UK covers are usually different.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like them better, not always. But I did not like the other cover so much that I wanted this one.
See, I was always told don't judge a book by its cover, and that's something I live by. But it's funny, we were talking about one of the books that the cover destroyed the book for me, actually, was Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. The original cover was with a geisha sort of halfway. And I was probably well into that book, 3/4 at least, and I had it at work with me, and I can remember vividly walking out the door and the book was sitting on top, and I looked down and it said fiction, and I thought I was actually reading a historical memoir from a real geisha, and I was like, what? This isn't real? This isn't the
so
true
funny.
story?
Yeah.
And it just like,
because it's called Memoirs of a Geisha.
I know.
So.
I don't know why that made me so angry. I did finish the book. I still liked it and everything.
Okay.
And another one, maybe this author needs a new artist. She's been around. I don't even know if she's
I wonder if
writing.
they might have redesigned them already.
Maybe they have, but Lucia St. Clair Robson, I've read Ride the Wind and Walk in My Soul, historical fiction that have strong female characters in them, real people. However, the front of her books, to me, look like Western romance novels.
Okay.
And they are not at all.
Do you think they should be redesigned? Like, what are your thoughts on redesigning covers?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to keep up with the times. I wonder if sometimes a book shifts in society. For example, The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, I was like in high school when I first read that book, and And now every woman and her daughter and mother know about the book. I couldn't tell you what the original cover looked like, but I'm sure they've redone it now.
I mean, the cover is still the same. Well, I guess I don't know what it looked like when you read it, but it was just like a silhouette kind of like profile of Offred.
Well, and this is something else I was talking about when I looked at a big grouping of the books that mostly my mom had, and they all had the back of a woman walking through whatever scenario it was.
That's because you and Grandma primarily read historical fiction. When I showed you the cover of all my romance books, you thought they were cartoon books for children, because now that is the way romance books are drawn.
Right,
and
like
I think they match the
genre.
vibe. The genre with a vibe. Let me tell you my redesign. I already ranted to you about this in Barnes & Noble, and I don't think you really understood. I haven't read the book yet. Very excited to read it. It's The Will of the Many by James Islington, which is a sci-fi book. What vibes what do you think this is about?
Well, it's just got a bunch of columns, which makes me think it's maybe government related, and they're showing them being broken up in the middle. Actually, the column styles are all different. So
what is
I would think it would be the breakup of a government because of the will of the people.
Okay, you generally got it. It is a very like Roman kind of feel to it too, like hence the columns. This is very polarizing because this is book 1. Book 2 is coming out in November. I think book 2 is called Strength of the Few. So it's The Will of the Many, the Strength of the Few. So they redesigned this cover so it has a very sci-fi, like it almost looks like an old sci-fi book. I think there's like a planet in the background and a spaceship moving. I could be wrong. Yes, totally different vibe. That second book is going to come out and not match this cover at all whatsoever. And so I'm going to have these 2 books that don't match.
Look like they go together.
And I'm going to be very upset about it. I do like a good redesign. Like I said, like I bought Annihilation because it was a redesign, you know, but I do want my copies to match.
When you asked me to buy you that one book, you introduced me to the concept of special editions, and I didn't have any idea. She told me she wanted this book. Her birthday was coming up. I'm like, great. I know what book to buy her that she's going to love. Turns out she didn't love it. But anyway, when it arrived, I showed it to everybody. Look how beautiful this book is. Look at the edges and the inside and everything.
Because even the hardcover, like the naked hardcover is really pretty too.
I didn't even realize she showed me that. I think that's pretty cool. It used to be if you got a gold edged book, that was a big deal, or it had an actual ribbon in it. That was something special.
Okay, so you'll have to tell me. So I have actually purchased a second copy of a book because I liked a different one better. So The God and the Gumiho is another one where I had original paperback and I found this one online. This is the Fairy Loot edition. I did not buy it from Fairy Loot. I bought it from Pango Books, which is where I get some used books. This is based off the UK cover. So this is another example where if I showed you the other one, it's totally different. But not only does it have, but like look at how cute this is. It's like they meet at coffee shops, and so they gave it like a little coffee shop vibe, and it has these like cherry blossoms.
On the inside,
it has an alternate cover, the end pages.
You know what? Maybe my problem is I currently live in a tiny house, and I before that lived on a 33-foot boat. I did have a shelf of books, but after so many years, the ocean does a number on your books, and the pages all stick together. So that's when I got into e-readers and audiobooks. The house you grew up in, it almost collapsed under the weight of books. The house I grew up in actually has a library. I
think collecting book is
better than collecting anything else, if you ask me.
I see lots of people online that are like they want to read down their physical TBR and they don't want to, they have too many books. But then I've seen the argument of like, why? They're not going anywhere. They're not going to go bad. They're not going to spoil.
Exactly.
And so it's like, why?
For the next pandemic, when we're all locked in our house, at least you have choices. Of all the things people can collect, I respect a book collection. I personally don't have one because I just don't have room.
I've started annotating this year, it's only made my book consumption worse because you can't annotate a library book. I've looked into ways where people buy like clear Post-its post-its and then they take them all off, and I think that's pointless.
I couldn't imagine.
So then I buy them because I want to annotate them. That's another thing I've started seeing, these special editions. They'll sell you the author's annotated version where the author has annotated their own book. And so you buy the book and it has...
Oh, that's kind of cool. Did we miss that one where you're embarrassed to read the book because of the cover?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. Did that ever happen?
Yeah, when I was reading 50 Shades of Grey.
You read 50 Shades of Grey?
I did. I've
never read it.
There's like
three
of them. Yeah, I think I did read them all. It was, again, it was a pressure thing. I was not impressed with the book.
Do you know where those originated?
No.
Okay, you remember me reading Twilight and watching Twilight?
Oh yeah,
It's
were they
Twilight fan fiction?
Adult so somebody wasn't even an author came up with the story
online
based on,
and then it got enough people that they were like, let's write a book, and so they had to change stuff, obviously.
It showed. In my humble opinion, I do remember it was the time we were living in the marina.
Okay.
And the series of books was being passed around to all of the women.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And I should have known based on the woman who handed it to me what it was going to be, just not my genre.
Yeah.
So that was more what I wasn't so embarrassed about the book. I was embarrassed about reading a book that she recommended.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't the cover. Maybe. It wasn't anything about the cover.
Yeah, because the cover wasn't even really.
I think it's just a tie. Well, I guess I don't know. There's been different covers, but I'm pretty sure it's just like a tie.
It was just a gray and black.
Yeah. I have found I don't like when it's like a photograph of a person's face. Like I think like what we talked about, bodice rippers.
Yeah.
I tend to read the romance books where it's the cartoony looking cover, but they still have the ones where it's like a guy in half a shirt, like staring like this, and I'm just like, no, I don't
never
need
happens.
no. I want to put your face in my head, not have it directly on the cover,
smashed on the front of the cover.
So that's one that I don't like. So we talked about Memoirs of a Geisha, and when we were looking it up, they had the movie cover. Do you prefer movie covers? Do you ever care? You don't care, probably.
Well, it is funny, yeah. Sometimes when there's a movie cover, I will get the book because I know there's a movie out there.
Okay.
And I have this sick fascination to see the movie after I've read the book.
So you buy the movie version specifically?
No, but it indicates to me that the movie has been made.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like, oh, okay, I can read this book and then I can watch the movie and I can complain about how bad the movie was compared to the book.
I've already read Wicked. You read Wicked too, right? Because we had it in the house, but I don't know where our copy went. So I don't have it anymore.
Sold everything.
Probably. And I want to buy it.
I did donate all my books
to
the library.
Oh, did you? Oh, that was nice of you. I want to purchase another copy of Wicked, but I don't want the movie cover version. There's lots of different... It depends on the movie cover. Like the cover of The Martian where it's just Matt Damon's head. Like I'm okay with that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See,
I mean, I would
prefer the original.
I would prefer the original one too.
Not that I dislike looking at Matt Damon.
So it just depends on how they do it. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Again, I think it comes back to when I picture the characters, I don't want to immediately picture
Matt Damon.
Well, I mean, that one I'm okay picturing. But the girls that did Wicked, that I can't remember their names right now, one of them is a huge singer, Ariana Grande. I'm pretty sure is Glinda the Good Witch. Anyway, both of them are on the cover, and
it influences how you visualize.
Yeah, I want to visualize. I think that's what it is.
That's a good point. See,
so
I guess I pay so little attention to the
Which
cover
is good.
that it doesn't influence me, but I agree with you. You're absolutely right. For instance, the one we were talking about, The Last Thing He Told Me.
Oh, yeah.
That is not at all how I pictured the actress.
When you saw
the main character
the
and
show,
the actress. More times than not, I'm going to read the book first and watch the movie second. There are times when I have watched the movie first and then read the book.
Sometimes you can't avoid it. Like I didn't start reading Harry Potter until I was in college, and at that point the movies were so prolific that I could only envision Daniel Radcliffe and Emma, and Rupert Grint and all that, which they did a really good job casting
Right,
them. Well,
yeah.
speaking of judging books by their covers, keep an eye out for a future video where we actually do this, where we hold up covers and we try to
and guess.
Yes, we try to guess what the book is about. So she's going to pick some covers and I'm going to pick some covers and we'll try to stump each other.
If you've enjoyed this civilized chaos, don't forget to subscribe or like and leave some comments of your own.
And if you have any bookish opinions, leave them in the comments and maybe we'll do a part 2 where we discuss some other bookish debates.
We hope to see you next time.
Happy reading!
By Adrian.
Abraham. I think it's The Devil Wears Prada. Nope, it wasn't that one. Roaming. That's not a challenge. What's the word I'm looking for? I'll probably cut this. So anyway, because Laura Dern is an actress.
What do they call it?
Post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic. Okay, and our final topic that we're going to...
Sitting down. Can you lay down? You're such a book sniffer. Definitely. No.
You have a problem.
Well, that's not what you're supposed to tell me.
Did a man write this? No. Cut that out then. Oh, was I supposed to drink?
I usually stop it after the clink. Nobody sounds good slurping. So, all right.